Yep, I just have to mute the YouTube. Okay. Hello, everyone. How are you? Welcome to our webinar called The Growth Mindset and Blended Learning, Increasing Classroom Engagement with Canvas and Genially. We are very excited to have you with us today, so thank you to all of you who are watching. My name is Brenna, and I am on the training team here at Genially, and we also have a special guest with us today.
Hi, I'm Megan Bruce, and I'm a digital learning coach in Frisco, Texas.
Great, thanks. So today we will be exploring the power of a growth mindset and blended learning, as well as looking at their practical applications. If you are unfamiliar with either one of those terms, don't worry. In a couple minutes, we're going to go through them and explain what they mean. So first of all, thank you to all of you who are joining us, those of you who have been with us for past webinars, and those of you who are joining us now, of course, live or watching the recording later. Thank you also, Megan, for joining us today. And let's get started. I am going to share my screen so that you can follow along with us. Okay. Here we go. The screen, perfect. Okay, so in today's webinar, what we are going to look at is what a growth mindset is and what it can do for students, practical ways of modeling and teaching this mindset in the classroom, blended learning as a step up for educators. We will also have a demo portion on how to use Genially and Canvas together to make the perfect blended learning environment. And finally, we will answer your questions live. Just as a reminder, you can always ask any questions, any doubts that you have on our social media channels by using the hashtag AskGenially. So let's begin. First, what is the growth mindset? Well, the growth mindset is a term coined by the Stanford psychologist Carol Dweck and made popular by her book, Mindset, The New Psychology of Success. Dweck proposes that there are two kinds of opposing mindsets. On the one hand, the growth mindset that believes in a capacity for continued growth, in intelligence, strength, and other traits and abilities. And on the other hand, the fixed mindset, where talent and our ideas of who we really are seen as determining who we will always be. Now, thinking about students with these mindsets, we can think that a student with a fixed mindset is more likely to give up when faced with a challenge that they cannot solve right away, whereas a student with a growth mindset is more likely to keep working until they solve difficult problems because they believe that they can expand their capacities to include ones that they don't currently have. Now, the most exciting part about a growth mindset is that it can be learned. This mindset is especially helpful for students who are easily frustrated and start to doubt their learning abilities because it helps to grow their confidence, it encourages them to keep working through struggles, and it's also surprisingly helpful for high-performing students who are sometimes motivated more by the achievement of getting top grades than the actual process of learning itself. The growth mindset also encourages them to become more curious, to lose their fear of making mistakes. And it shows students that traits like creativity and intelligence can be learned and expanded upon. This not only sets them up to keep going, but it also fosters curiosity, it teaches persistence, and it makes students more active in their own learning process. So, now that we know the theory a bit, how can we teach and model a growth mindset in the classroom? We're going to look at 5 ways that we can cultivate that mindset. First, praise effort, not intelligence. A study that was done in 2007 found that after failing to solve a difficult problem, the kids who received praise for their effort solved more problems than those who were praised for their intelligence. So when praised for their effort, students are encouraged to keep trying. The implicit message that we're sending them is, you haven't done it yet, but if you keep going, you'll be able to. The second way that we can help cultivate this mindset is by making it a lesson. For example, we can use a short video to get your students thinking about abilities with a growth mindset before we teach a lesson on main concepts. You can also lead into the activity with a pretest where you can ask students to reflect on statements such as, I like my work best when it makes me think hard, or I like my work best when I can do it perfectly without any mistakes. And you can consider what those statements mean to those students and then explain the implications that those answers can have. Third tip can be working with the word yet. Words like yet and almost are subtle signals you can use to teach students a growth mindset. They tell the brain that while it hasn't found the solution it's looking for, it will if it keeps working. So we can therefore encourage our students to keep trying and keep working at it. All right, the next way we can cultivate this mindset is by teaching progress over results. Show your students that you live by what you teach by rewarding their progress. Create other measures for success in the classroom. Have students write a few reflections at different points in the year regarding how they've improved, what they've learned, and what they'd like to do. And this can help teach practices that will serve them in school and beyond, as well as shifting the focus a bit. So we are really helping to cultivate a mindset that will continue to serve them in different aspects of their life, not only in the classroom. And then fifth, of course, learn from your mistakes. Take the opportunity to use your own mistakes as opportunities to show students how you keep working to improve as a teacher. You can point out when you make mistakes and tell students how you work on things you struggle with in order to keep improving. I love the proverb that says, by learning you will teach, and by teaching you will learn. Okay. All right. Now, we're going to go into a little bit more detail about blended learning as a step up for educators. So I will pass the microphone to Megan for this.
Yeah, so we'll talk about blended learning. Blended learning is a combination of in-person teaching with teachers inside a classroom, and then online learning with online courses or digital media. And it's becoming increasingly popular in schools. Blended learning also allows us to set up classes where real learning takes place in both in and outside of the classroom, allows us to take full advantage of class time and align more engaging at-home assignments. Just as some teachers tend to use whiteboards to explain everything and other prefer handouts, each teacher finds his or her favorite tools in the digital world. Today, we are going to show you how to use the learning management system, Canvas, and the media creation tool, Genially, as a digital foundation to build on. The information that you gain here today can help you in your journey to create quality learning material for your students and keep your students curious and engaged. So, Canvas helps keep all of our digital materials in one place. You've got assignments, grades, announcements, to-do lists, class discussions, and much, much more. It helps teachers make sure that our digital learning materials are not scattered and distracting, but instead purposeful pieces working as part of a larger vision. It's the perfect platform to use for course building and to structure digital learning. With Canvas as your foundation, you can add content from past years of teaching and other LMSs that you may have used, like Google Classroom, etc. Then choose what material that you would like to upgrade. PowerPoints are a big one. I know that myself, I've taken past PowerPoints and I've been able to put them into Genially to make them more interactive and look really nice. Genially is an all-in-one tool for creating interactive and animated learning, media presentations, infographics, interactive images, and even breakouts and other gamified material. I know the gamification is huge within my school. After making static material interactive and more visually appealing with a few quick edits, you can create new material with the same tool. One of Genially's key strengths is the way it allows us to visually prioritize the most central concept of each lesson and store the rest of the text, videos, etc. in pins and windows students need to discover themselves. Oh, give me one second, sorry. Oops, so sorry, give me one second. This is great for getting students engaged and exploring. It helps students remember what they've seen because they've interacted with it, and they're eager to try creating their own projects to share with their classmates. Let's head now to the practice portion of today to see exactly how that we can use Genially and Canvas effectively to implement blended learning into our classes. I'm going to
All right,
get
great.
back to you, Britta.
Thank you, Megan. Okay, so now we are going to head over to Genially. Here we go. Perfect. I have it open already. Now, when you enter Genially, you will enter into the panel. And here in Create Genially is where you can see all of the different categories of creations that you can access. We've explored some parts of the panel in previous webinars. So if you missed them, you can refer back to our YouTube channel and see those webinars. This time, so today, what we are going to create is an interactive image. So we are going to select the category interactive image, create. Now, once we've made our interactive image, we will insert it into our class on Canvas as the visual component of a quiz. And the final result will be an example of an introduction activity you can use to get students exploring the content of a new chapter or unit. Of course, we know that teachers make a lot of different learning material. So what we want to show you today is an example of something you can make quickly, but that also has a very practical purpose, okay? So today, we are going to work with an image, here we go, over here, of the Normandy landings. So I will upload my image. But of course, you can apply what we're learning today to create lessons for math, science, English, any other subject by just changing the content of it. Okay. So let's accept, and I'm going to use the full version of this image, accept. All right, perfect. All right, so we can see here that when we upload an image to create an interactive image, we automatically have a few buttons. So that's great. We can either replace them, delete them, and get new ones. But of course, you'll always hear me suggest replacing because it really makes the process of editing a lot easier. So let's replace. Thinking about the content that we're going to add to this interactive image, one of the things that I want to add is a video. So I'm going to select this icon, this button that signifies video. We can change that there. This one, we're also going to add some text. So I'm going to replace this button and we can just put this button right here, okay? And then I do wanna add one more button. We are going to, add a map. So this button here kind of signifies that we're talking about a location. Okay, I'm going to hover over the buttons. I want to make them a little bit bigger, and I'm also going to change the color. Since we have a black and white image, I want a color that's going to give us a little bit more contrast. All right, perfect. And then you can, of course, just move the buttons around to wherever you want, like that. All right, perfect. Now, the next thing that we are going to do is add a title to our interactive image. Of course, when creating an interactive image, you always want to give it a title so that your audience, your students know what the topic is. So we are going to head over to text, and we are going to select one of our text sets here. These are element sets that are pre-designed for you that go well together. So we are going to choose this one here, and let's put it up here a bit. All right. And see the blue lines that come up here? This is how you'll know if the elements that you're moving are in the middle where you want them. So now we can change the text. this is going to say Normandy. Can't see it yet, but you will be able to. 1944 and D-Day. Okay, so this is the topic of our interactive image. Now, to give a little bit more contrast with the title and with the background image, what we are going to do is add a rectangle. All right, so here I chose the square, and now I can change the size a bit. We have a gray rectangle. Perfect. Now, the first thing I want to do, of course, as you can see, it's now hiding my text. So I am going to change the order, and I am going to put the rectangle behind the text. Perfect. The next thing I want to do, because I want to be able to see that image still, is I'm going to increase the transparency of the rectangle to, let's say, 55, because we can still see the image behind it. Perfect. All right. So now the next thing that we are going to do is embed some content. So here we have a video. What we can do here is we can add interactivity. And the type of interactivity that we want to add here is a tooltip, since we're just adding a short video. So we can select tooltip. Now, we want to add the video. How do we get it? Well, here I already have YouTube open. This is the video that I would like to embed. What I'm going to do is come here to share. I'm going to copy the link. And now I will go back. Oops, here we are. I'll go back, insert video, paste link, insert, and there you have it. So let's save that. Now the next thing we are going to add is a little bit of text. So I have my text prepared already. When, of course, you're thinking about the text that you want to add, you have a couple different options. You can add it as a tooltip, which you would hover over the element and that will come up, or as a window. Since the amount of text that I want to add is a bit longer than the maximum number of characters, in a tooltip, we are going to add a window for this. And I am just going to increase the font size a bit so that the students can see it better when they're exploring this interactive image. Perfect. Okay, the next thing that we are going to do is add a map here. So now I'm going to head over to Google Maps and I'm going to search for Omaha Beach. All right, here we are, the beaches of Normandy. Now for the map, I would like to embed the map in my design. So I'm going to come here to share, embed a map, and I'm just going to copy this HTML code. Now I will head back to the editor and the same thing, interactivity, we are going to add a window. And here, since we have an HTML code, what we want to do is click on this button right here that says Code View. So we will click on Code View, we'll paste our code, and then if you click again, you come out of Code View and you get a preview of what it will look like. So you can see here, we have our map embedded. Perfect. So remember, at any time of the creation process, you can click on preview to get an idea of what your image is looking like. So you can see here, we can interact with our map directly in our creation. Perfect. Now, what are we missing? What sets Genially apart from other creation tools? We need some animation. So the first thing that we are going to animate is this rectangle here. Clicking on this icon, we open the animation menu. Let's give it entrance. Let's just have it focus at 0 seconds. Perfect. Next, let's animate the word Normandy. Let's give it an entrance effect coming from the center, and let's have a zoom effect. Perfect. And I'm just going to increase the time a little bit so that our elements come in at different times. Now I'm going to give the same animation effect to the word D-Day. So I don't have to do those same steps as before. I can come right here, select copy animation, select my new text, and paste. So you can see we have exactly that same animation. Now, For 1944, I want the same style of animation, so I can also paste. However, I'm going to increase the time because I don't want everything to enter at the same time. All right, perfect. Now let's give our button some entrance animation as well. So we can see the animation menu remains open. Let's give the first button an animation entrance effect. Coming down, we can give our buttons a kind of waterfall effect where they all come down at different times. So let's have it come down and fade in at 1.7 seconds. Okay, to kind of vary a bit. Now I can do here the same thing as I did with the text. I'm going to copy the animation, and on our text, I will paste. However, I'm going to just bump up the time when that animation will begin. And I can do the same thing for the third button. And here, let's give this 2.1. That way there's about 0.2 seconds between each button, and that will give that a really nice waterfall effect where not everything will come in at the same time. Okay, so I think we have everything how we want it. Let's preview and make sure. Okay, great. I think it looks good. So now we can publish. So in order to publish, we can click on All Set, Public. Oh, we have to give it a name. Don't forget to name your creations. Let's call it Normandy 1944. And all set. Perfect. Now we have our options to present, to share, to download. So let's share. And now, of course, since we are going to embed this creation in Canvas, we are going to copy the iframe code. So it's as easy as copying. All right. And we are also going to share the link in the chat so that you all who are watching can also have a chance to kind of interact and see this creation. So now I am going to stop sharing my screen so that Megan can share hers, and we will see how we can embed this creation that we just made into a class in Canvas. Perfect. You're just, Megan, your microphone is muted.
Okay, sorry. All right, so here we go. This is my sandbox, which means in Canvas, it's just an area for me to kind of play and test stuff around. So that's where we're at here. I noticed that I made a module called Genially and Canvas just for this specific thing. And I'm gonna go over here to this plus sign, and I'm going to add a quiz. And we're calling it a new quiz, and we're gonna give it a name. So we're gonna call this D-Day Introduction Activity. And we're gonna add item. So notice it adds it right here. We're gonna click on it, and then we're going to edit it. Okay, so notice right here, I've got the details. So in the instructions, I'm gonna say, explore this genially to learn more about the storming of the beaches at Normandy. Take notes and check your understanding by answering the questions below. Discuss the full importance of D-Day in class tomorrow. So this, and for this particular one, I've given some text instructions. There's going to be a Genially right below, which I'm going to show you how to put in. So the kids are actually going to look at this and then take the quiz. So just like Brenna did a second ago, we're going to click that HTML editor, which is right here. I'm going to select it, and then I'm going to paste in that iframe that we looked at a minute ago, and I'm going to go back, and then it will load right here. So the students should be able to look at this, explore it, take notes, and then they're going to take the quiz itself. So we're going to go right over here to the questions tab. And you've got question group, find answers, and new question. We're going to click new question. And right here where it says multiple choice, we're going to choose true, false. So in here, I'm going to say D-Day marked the largest seaborne invasion in history. And then down here, true. And then if you want to go in here, you can put some feedback. And then if they choose false, we're going to say, nice try, but it's true. Go back and check the videos and try again later. And then we're going to update that question. So now under questions, you've got one question. If you'll notice over here, there's only 1 point. So depending on how many points that you want this to count for, if you're doing percentages or grades, you'll want to change that. But for this purpose, we're just going to leave it here. So now we're going to add another question. And instead of true, false, we're going to choose essay. And again, here I'm going to type in my questions. I'm going to say briefly show that there are other options. Oh, just kidding. I'm going to say explain the significance of Normandy landings. Oops. For the Allies in the greater of the war. And then down here, you just update the question, and we're going to, so if you want to save it and not publish it for your students yet, you can do that. I'm going to save and publish it. So I can look here. So notice I've got 2 points. Here are my details of my quiz. And then here is like the teacher view of it. Notice I've got 2 points. It's in my assignment group. I've not made a time limit or anything like that, which you can go back and do. And then I'm going to preview it. And then here is what the students would see. So they would see the instructions via text. They would see the Genially to explore, and then they would see the questions that they needed to answer, and then they would submit the quiz when they were done. At my school, we have really used Genially and Canvas in tandem a lot. So we've done a lot of badging courses. So blended learning, the students get to make their own playlist. Let me show you for this one. This is cardiovascular. This is an anatomy class. So here, the teacher has some instructions here, and they've got some choices. So if I went to blood, tells me how to submit. So if I'm going to submit notes, I've got options on how I'm going to submit those notes. And then here, if I click here, it's going to take me to a Canvas page to submit. So we're using Genially is just interactive and engaging aspects. And then we're connecting it to Canvas for those students to be able to upload, for the teachers to be able to track their work, which I think is pretty cool. So anyway, I'm going to give it back to Brenna, but I wanted to show you just a few ways that we are using it in Frisco.
Thanks, Megan. That's great. Thanks for sharing that other example. Good. So we hope that helped you guys understand a little bit more what you can do with Genially, also what you can do with Canvas, and then how to really combine the power of those 2 tools for an improved blended learning experience for your students. So let's take a minute now. I'm just going to check the chat and see if there are any questions that haven't been answered yet, or any doubts, anything anyone wants to mention, feel free. All right. Looks like we don't have any questions that haven't been answered yet. Perfect. All right. Let's head back then. I'm going to share my screen again. Go back over here. Perfect. Okay, so then as we have seen in this webinar, we've learned about a growth mindset, blended learning, how to insert Genially into Canvas for enhanced learning. Now, as always, those of you who have joined our webinars in the past, you know, we are going to have a prize drawing for one pro plan among those of you who signed up to attend this webinar. Now, if you're joining us live and you didn't sign up in advance, we are going to put the link in the chat now, so that if you want to be included in the drawing, you can put your information there and then you'll be included. We will be in contact with the lucky winner by email, so good luck to all of you. Now, if you don't win the prize drawing, don't worry. Here is a discount code for an Edu Pro plan for all of you to be able to unleash your learning potential. So make sure you jot down that code so that you can have a discount on your Edu Pro plan. Great. Perfect. So we hope that you found this time together useful, enjoyable, that you can take this information with you and use it in your classroom for an enhanced blended learning experience. We answered your questions live, but of course, if you think of any more questions in the future, please feel free to ask us those questions on social media by using the hashtag AskGenially. And I'm going to stop sharing my screen now so that we can say goodbye. We really hope that you enjoyed, that you join us for our next webinars, and that you have a great day. And Megan, thank you again for joining us.
Bye, of course, anytime.
All right, bye everyone.